Roy Harper has been reimagined so many times over the years, and yet he has remained a compelling character for one main reason. He had a rough childhood, and we watched that happen. So let's translate that rough childhood into my DCU. Similar to what I did with the first Flash film, the first Green Arrow film won't be a Green Arrow origin, but instead a Speedy origin. We'd see Roy Harper get taken in by Oliver Queen after the death of Brave Bow, and we'll see him become Speedy. Just like Wally, he'd appear in the Teen Titans film at the end of Phase 1. Phase 2 would be when things get rough for Roy. We'll have a Green Lantern Green Arrow film where Oliver and Hal are learning about social issues and trying to solve them, with the main topic of the film being drug abuse. This would be where Roy begins taking heroin and is discovered by Black Canary, who takes him to rehab at the end of the film. Dick and Wally had rough childhoods, but they also had their mentors and father figures to lean onto. Roy had Oliver Queen, who wasn't there when Roy needed him most, and when he learned of Roy taking drugs, proceeded to beat him and kick him out of the house. Oliver Queen isn't a good father figure like Barry Allen or a good mentor like Bruce Wayne. He's a terrible one, and Roy had to grow up with that. Oliver might be a great archer and hero, but he's not someone you can look up to. Comic readers witnessed Roy at his lowest points, and later would see him pick himself back up. Roy becoming Arsenal is an important moment for Roy because it's the time where he picked himself up and became a hero in spite of Oliver, rather than because of him. I'm reflecting that in the Phase 3 Titans film where Roy forms a team of old friends and other teenage to early 20s heroes to bring Cheshire to justice and gain custody of his newborn daughter, Leanne. In the comics, there was no catalyst for him to become a hero again after quitting as Speedy. He just did it because he willed it. He joined the original Titans when they reformed, a team which I had him create in the films. We started the Outsiders alongside Nightwing, see the second Nightwing video for more info on that, and continued to be one of the best heroes of his generation out of sheer will. He was even in the Justice League during Brad Meltzer's run, something I mimicked in the films by having him be in the Phase 5 JLA film. However, that series made Roy Harper into Red Arrow, which was intended to be an evolution for this character, a way to make it clear that someday he'd become Green Arrow, like your typical student becomes the mentor trope that is shown with Dick and Wally when they both took up their mentor's mantles. However, for Roy, this doesn't really work and feels like a step backward for me, especially after everything Roy had to endure because of Oliver. He should be his own hero, separate from Green Arrow. But it only got worse after that, leading to Roy Harper's character getting completely ruined when Leanne died in Cry for Justice. A storyline that wasn't even a Roy Harper story. It was a Green Arrow and Green Lantern story, with Oliver being the one to put an arrow through Prometheus' skull. A moment that should have been for Roy. This same storyline had Roy lose his arm later to be replaced with a cyborg arm. An arm that would be a reminder of just how badly this character got screwed over, and he never recovered from this. Big surprise, I'm not doing any of that. No Red Arrow, no Cry for Justice, Leanne gets to live to be a future generation of hero, and Roy gets no cyborg arm. But that's not even the end of DC's mistreatment of Roy, because the New 52 happened, and we got Red Hood and the Outlaws, a team consisting of Jason Todd, Starfire, and Roy Harper. They basically threw everything about this character that happened after Snowbirds Don't Fly out the window, and gave him a stupid-looking baseball cap. The real punch in the gut was Jason, though, because they completely altered his characterization from pre-New 52 and essentially turned him into Roy Harper when he led the Outsiders. It's like DC had this whole campaign from 2009 onwards to just ruin Roy Harper. Man, the late 2000s and early 2010s really was a bad time to be a DC character, wasn't it? Anyways, like I said, I'm doing none of that. Roy is keeping the name Arsenal like how he was in The Outsiders. I would also cover his affair with Cheshire that led to Leanne's birth by combining it with the time that Cheshire detonated a nuke in Iraq. That's right, it's time to actually talk about Titans West. I have been mentioning this since the second Nightwing video, so let's finally cover it. This film will occur in Phase 3, prior to the Titans film that brought the OGs together. This film would introduce Betty Kane, aka Flamebird, a Teen Titans fangirl that decides to form her own team of teenage heroes after the previous Titans team disbanded. The team includes Argent, Kid Devil, Bumblebee, Herald, Mirage, Phantasm, Hawk, and Dove. Essentially a team of Titans characters that aren't as major. The main focus would be on Flamebird, Argent, and Bumblebee though, since they actually lived through this. On their first mission, they bite off more than they can chew, trying to prove themselves to the rest of the superhero community, and decide to track down Cheshire to Karak and bring her down. Unknown to them, Roy Harper, who has become a government agent at the time, is trying to do the same thing. The focus of the team is split between Roy and Cheshire and the Titans West, with us seeing Roy and Cheshire have an affair which will lead to Leanne's birth. Cheshire will soon detonate an atomic bomb in Karak, leading to the death of Kid Devil, Herald, Mirage, Phantasm, Hawk, and Dove, with only Flamebird, Argent, and Bumblebee managing to be saved thanks to Beast Boy and the Doom Patrol. The Titans West disbanded after this. This makes the bombing feel more heavy-hitting than just a random fictional country getting bombed. Actual characters we knew got killed, and them being Titans ties it into Roy, and why his response to this would be to create a Titans team. To recap, Phase 1 is a Green Arrow film that serves as Roy Harper's origin, leading us to the Titans film at the end of Phase 1 once all the sidekicks are established. In Phase 2, we get a Green Lantern and Green Arrow crossover film where Ollie and Hal tackle the drug problem in America while Roy starts taking heroin and is sent to rehab by Canary. In Phase 3, we get Titans West, a team full of wannabe heroes who are trying to prove themselves by tracking down Cheshire, which is just what Roy Harper is doing. This leads to an affair between Roy Harper and Cheshire, and the bombing of Karak, killing several of the Titans West. This inspired Roy to create a Titans team filled with old friends and other teenage to early 20s heroes to stop Cheshire and get custody of his daughter. In Phase 4, he'd appear in the Titans Young Justice crossover, where Donna dies and the Titans disband to be replaced by Young Justice. Later, we get an Outsiders film where Arsenal and Nightwing form an Outsiders team together, with the end of the film having Roy as the solo leader when Dick leaves to protect Bloodhaven and make him a detective. To end Phase 4, he'd appear in the Titans film to save Donna Troy. I also want to add that in that film, Roy would recruit Static for the Outsiders and give the new Speedy, Mia Dearden, his old quiver. Finally, in Phase 5, he'd be a part of Dick's JLA team.